Our movie begins with King Charlie talking to his two sons, John and Ron. He explains that many years ago, their great-grandmother was kidnapped by an evil wizard named Zamora. Their grandfather fought the wizard, broke his magical wand, and sent him running. The king's father then brought all of the wizard's magical artifacts to the castle and sealed them away in the basement. The boys wanted to know what happened to the wizard. The king explained that the wizard went to live in a dark, mysterious forest near their kingdom and has been hiding there for years. Because of this, no one is allowed to go there. As John and Ron grow up, John becomes a master of swordsmanship and combat. His younger brother Ron is clever and deceitful, but lacks skill in fighting. He always loses to John when they practice sword fighting. One day, King Charlie announces that John will be the new heir. He tells him that he is destined to be the next king and that his image will be on the new gold coins. John, who loves his brother, asks his father to put Ron's image on the coins too, so he won't feel left out. The king explains that only the king's image can be on gold coins, but if John insists, he will have Ron's image stamped on copper coins. When Ron finds out, he is furious. He asks his loyal servant Tom why there is such a difference between them. John gets to be king and has his face on gold coins, while he only gets copper ones. Tom explains that it's because John is the future king. Ron, feeling that their lives will be worse if John becomes king, urges Tom to think of a way to get rid of John so he can become the new ruler and make Tom his special advisor. Tom suggests looking in the castle basement where the wizard Zamora's things are kept, thinking they might find something useful. Ron mentions that no one is allowed in there and the key is always with their father. Tom then reveals a set of keys. Later that night, Ron and Tom go to the basement gate. Ron bribes the guard with some gold coins and they enter the basement. By chance, one of the keys on Tom's set opens the secret room where the wizard's items are stored. Inside, they begin looking at everything. Ron discovers a magical potion that can erase someone's memory and declares that it will be perfect for his plan. He tells Tom to hide the rest of the magical items in his clothes and take them out. Ron then pours the memory erasing potion into his bottle of wine. Once they are outside, he offers the guard a drink from the bottle. The guard, thinking it's royal wine, drinks it and immediately forgets who he is and what he is doing there. Ron is thrilled. Meanwhile, Tom brings the rest of the magical potions out, hidden in his clothes, and they both return to their room. The next day, as John prepares to go hunting, Ron and Tom join him. Ron suggests that they should go to the forbidden dark forest. John reminds him that it's off limits, but Ron taunts him, calling him a coward, until John finally agrees. They continue on with two soldiers and John's servant. When they get close to the forest, Ron tells the others to wait and goes toward the forest with John. There, Ron gives John the bottle of wine with the potion, telling him to drink it before they go inside. John drinks it and his memory is instantly gone. He forgets who he is. Seizing the opportunity, Ron tells him he is just a traveler passing through the forest. John takes the bottle of wine and wanders into the forest. The soldiers and John's servant, who were waiting, have no idea what Ron has done. When John's servant sees him go into the forest, he runs after him, calling his name, and is instantly transformed into a tree. His scream startles Ron, Tom, and the soldiers, and they flee back to the palace. At the palace, Ron pretends to cry and tells the king and queen that John inexplicably went into the dark forest despite his best efforts to stop him. The king and queen are heartbroken. Ron, feigning concern, tells them not to worry because he will go into the forest to find John and bring him back. The film then shows the dark forest, revealing a hut where an old gardener with a magical rope around his legs is watering the trees. John, still lost and wandering, approaches the hut and tries to talk to the old man. Suddenly, the wizard Zamora emerges from the hut. He asks John who he is and how he ended up in the forest. John says he has no memory of himself and simply followed the paths. The wizard is surprised, explaining that anyone who enters the forest turns into a tree, and asks how John survived. John asks what's so special about the forest. The wizard replies that he has placed a spell on it to prevent anyone from interfering with the task he has been working on for years. He checks John by placing a hand on his head and realizes that John's mind is completely blank, which is why the spell didn't work on him. To get rid of John, Zamora tells him to cross the forest, promising he will find much more there. Not knowing any better, John follows the directions. The old gardener secretly gives him a magical stick. John doesn't know it's magical, so he just takes it and continues on his journey. He crosses the forest and reaches another kingdom. Since he has no memory, he simply keeps walking. At night, he stops in the forest, and the magical stick glows like a fluorescent light. The scene shifts back to the dark forest, where the wizard is instructing the gardener. He explains that he has enslaved him to take care of a special tree and tells him to make it grow faster so he can carry out his plan. Meanwhile, John comes across a crying man named Anthony near a pond. When John asks what's wrong, Anthony explains that a fire destroyed his farm and home, and he has lost everything. He points to a girl on the other side of the pond whom he was supposed to marry. Now that he is broke, she is marrying someone else, and he says he plans to take his own life. John tells him that the girl only loved his money, not him. Without knowing the wine contains a memory-erasing potion, John offers Anthony a drink to help him forget his sadness. Anthony drinks it, forgets everything, and the two of them happily continue on together. The story now shows Ron and Tom, who have lied to the king, pretending to search for John. Instead of going to the dark forest, they have stopped at an inn in a neighboring kingdom. In their room, Ron tells Tom that when they return, they will lie to their parents and tell them that they searched everywhere for John but couldn't find him. Tom asks what that will get them, and Ron explains that when his parents realize John is not coming back, they will have no choice but to name him the new king. John and Anthony wander into a market in the same kingdom. As John is looking at a sword, Princess Vina passes by in a carriage. John is instantly captivated and falls in love with her. He asks Anthony who she is, but Anthony says he doesn't remember either. Hungry, they end up at the same inn where Ron and Tom are staying. While eating, John asks the innkeeper about the girl he saw in the market. The innkeeper explains that she is Princess Vina, the daughter of King Wilson. She tells them that a dragon living in a nearby mountain threatened to destroy the kingdom if the king didn't give him his daughter. The king, with no other choice, has sent his daughter to the dragon, and his soldiers are taking her to the cave right now. The innkeeper then asks for money for the food, but John and Anthony have forgotten that they need to pay. Anthony offers to do any kind of work instead. The innkeeper says she needs someone to help run the inn, and Anthony agrees to stay. John, taking a sword from the innkeeper, heads off to save Princess Vina. Anthony expresses concern about the danger, but promises to wait for him. Tom, overhearing the conversation from his room, asks Anthony who John was, but Anthony says he doesn't know. John makes his way to the mountain. The soldiers have already reached the dragon's cave and have left the princess there, who has entered the cave. When John arrives, he finds the princess's carriage broken and scattered, as if it was attacked. He enters the cave to find her. He finally finds her chained up. Vina asks who he is and why he is there. John says he doesn't even know who he is, but he came to save her. Vina explains that if the dragon finds her gone, it will burn down her kingdom. John assures her that he will handle the dragon. He unchains her and begins to lead her out. The dragon suddenly appears, furious to find Vina missing, and chases after them towards the cave entrance. John tells Vina to stay put and goes to face the dragon himself. A fierce battle begins. The dragon repeatedly knocks John down and tries to burn him with its fire. As the dragon moves toward the princess, John gets in the way and holds out his magical stick. The stick's energy blinds the dragon, and it begins to retreat. Taking advantage of the moment, John jumps and cuts off the dragon's head. The princess, overjoyed, hugs John and wraps a piece of her clothes around his wounded arm. John, still unaware of the stick's power, marvels at it. Vina advises him to keep it safe. Meanwhile, Ron and Tom return to the palace. Ron lies to his parents, claiming he searched day and night but couldn't find John, and asked to be declared the new king. His father tells him that such talk is inappropriate because he has announced a large reward for anyone who finds John, and that someone will surely find him soon, so they won't be discussing a new king yet. Leaving the cave, John and the princess continue their journey. Vina confesses that she likes him and will ask her father to arrange their marriage instead of a swayamvar. John wonders if her father will agree, and Vina says he will, once he learns that John saved her life by killing the dragon. She asks him if he likes her too. John admits that he fell in love with her the first time he saw her, which is why he came to save her. Vina asks him more about himself, and John says he doesn't remember anything, not even his own name. Vina tells him that it's okay and says she will call him Hunza. A little later, they get tired and rest by a tree. Vina gets thirsty, and John offers her the wine from his bottle. She tells him she doesn't drink wine and asks him to get her some water. John goes to a nearby water source, and to empty his bottle, he drinks the rest of the wine. His memory vanishes once again, and he forgets why he came to get water for the princess. He also forgets about his magical stick, throws it away, and starts wandering again. The princess, who has fallen asleep waiting for him, wakes up and goes looking for John. She finds his magical stick near the water source and fears that something bad has happened to him. She keeps the stick and searches for him, but when she can't find him, she becomes very sad, as she has fallen in love with him too. That night, John, still wandering, finds some men sitting around a fire. They tell him that King Charlie has announced a big reward for anyone who finds his son, John, which is why they are going into the dark forest. They ask him who he is and what he's doing there. John says he doesn't remember anything about himself, and the men offer to give him part of the reward if he joins them. Unaware that he is John, and with no memory of his own, John agrees to go with them. The next day, Anthony is shown working at the inn. He and the innkeeper have fallen in love. John is on his horse, riding with the search party. The princess, exhausted and disappointed, returns to her palace. Her father, King Wilson, is overjoyed to see her alive. The princess tells him that she wants to marry the man who saved her and asks him to cancel the swayamvar. The king replies that since she says he has disappeared, he must proceed with the swayamvar competition as it is their family tradition. He explains that she will marry whoever wins the competition. The princess insists that she loves the boy who saved her, but the king states that since he cannot be found, the competition must go on. Following King Wilson's command, his soldiers begin putting up posters for the princess's swayamvar everywhere. On the other side, John and the search party arrive at the dark forest. As soon as they enter, all the other men turn into trees. When John realizes he is alone, he continues on by himself. The film then shows the wizard talking to the gardener. He reveals that once the plant grows fully, he will make a new magic wand from it to destroy the king's family and rule the world. John, still wandering, finds himself at the wizard's hut again. He doesn't remember being there before, and the wizard is again surprised to see him and to see that he has once again survived the spell. John asks if he has been there before. The wizard realizes that he has lost his memory again. The wizard sees the bandage on John's hand and asks how he got hurt. John, unable to remember, says he doesn't know. The wizard says he can use the cloth to find out who last touched it. John agrees to the test. Meanwhile, Ron is agitated at his father for not making him king. His servant Tom shows him a swayamvar poster. After reading it, Ron tells Tom that if he wins the competition, he will gain both the princess and her kingdom. Tom agrees, saying he will then be king of both kingdoms. Ron, happy with this plan, goes to his father and asks for permission to go to Vina's swayamvar. The king expresses his concern, mentioning that Ron is not very good at fighting, but Ron, confident because he has the wizard's stolen items, reassures his father that he will win. The king is not yet aware that Ron has stolen the magical items. In the dark forest, the wizard performs a spell on the cloth from John's arm. He places it in water and chants, and a picture of the princess appears in the water. The wizard reveals that she is the one who bandaged his wound. John, without his memory, doesn't recognize her, but he is immediately drawn to her. He asks the wizard about her, and the wizard explains that she is the Princess Vina, and a swayamvar will be held for her marriage. He tells John that the brave warrior who wins the competition will marry the princess. John immediately says he wants to go to the competition. To get rid of him, the wizard gives him a rusty suit of armor, knowing it is useless. John, unaware, takes the armor and leaves for King Charlie's palace. Ron and Tom have already arrived at the palace. The king welcomes Ron, saying that he is sorry about his brother's disappearance and offers him a room to rest. In the room, Ron prepares to win the competition. He and Tom put some of the wizard's potion on the tip of his staff, and it transforms into iron. Ron explains that all the fighters must use wooden sticks, but his stick's tip is now steel, so he is guaranteed to win. The next day, the public gathers to watch the competition. The king and his family are also present. Princess Vina hopes that the man who saved her from the dragon will appear. The warriors begin entering the arena, but when John doesn't show up, Vina becomes disappointed. The story then shows Anthony working at the inn. John, wearing the rusty armor, rides past him. Because John has no memory, he doesn't stop. Anthony is surprised but recognizes him by his sword. John soon reaches the swayamvar. The staff members mock his rusty armor and ask his name to register him for the competition. John, not knowing his name, tells them to write Shervir. Anthony also arrives and tries to talk to John, but John says he doesn't know him, confusing Anthony even more. The king orders the competition to begin. Ron and the other contestants fight first, and Ron easily defeats every warrior with his enchanted stick. No one knows that his stick is now made of steel. Vina, because of the helmet John is wearing, doesn't see him. Disappointed, she leaves the swayamvar and goes to the palace. Then it is John's turn to fight. He gets on his horse with his stick, and his old rusty armor begins to break apart. By luck, his stick hits his opponent, and the opponent falls, and John wins. Anthony cheers for him. In the second round, Ron uses his steel staff to defeat more opponents and makes it to the final. The process continues, and John also defeats his opponents with his skill to make it to the semifinals. The king calls the princess back to watch. Ron, who hasn't seen John yet, finally sees him as he prepares for the semifinal match and is shocked. John, still wearing the broken armor, defeats his opponent and advances to the final. John then goes to the king and takes off his helmet. The princess is filled with joy and tells the king that he is the man who saved her from the dragon. John, with his memory still gone, doesn't recognize her. They all go to the king's court. John states that he doesn't remember killing any dragon. The princess tries to remind him by showing him the bandage on his hand, but he still can't remember. Vina tells the king that since John has returned, he should cancel the competition and let her marry him. But Ron objects, arguing that since John doesn't even know who he is or if he killed the dragon, the rules of the competition must be followed, and whoever wins the final should get the princess. The king, bound by the rules, agrees. The next day, when Vina's attempts to make John remember fail, she realizes something is wrong. She secretly goes to Ron's room. Ron and Tom enter the room, and the princess quickly hides under the bed. Ron tells Tom that he is glad no one knows John is his brother, and that they were the ones who used the potion to erase his memory. Tom asks how he plans to beat John in the final. Ron explains that he will use the same method he used to beat everyone else, his enchanted stick. He says the magical potion has made his stick indestructible. The princess, hidden under the bed, hears everything and now understands the entire situation. Later, the princess takes a piece of the broken potion bottle to her father and explains that Ron has been cheating to win. The king doesn't believe her, and since the final is about to begin, he throws the bottle and the rest of it breaks and the potion spills out. Vina picks up a broken piece of the bottle. In the final match, Ron and John face off. Before the fight, Vina gives John a new suit of armor and secretly places the magical stick in his shield. As the fight begins, Ron attacks John with his steel stick. John holds up his shield, and the power of the magical stick causes Ron's staff to break. Ron is confused about what happened, while the princess is overjoyed. The king offers Ron a second stick, but Vina shows him the broken potion bottle. Ron understands that he can no longer make his staff unbreakable and will lose with a normal one. He asks the king for permission to fight with a sword instead. The king agrees. John, being the better swordsman, easily defeats Ron and knocks him to the ground. Just then, John and Ron's father arrives. He is overjoyed to see John. The princess tells the king the whole truth. Meanwhile, in the forest, the magical tree has fully grown, and the wizard is preparing to make a wand and attack the world. But he sees John's forgotten bottle of wine and tastes it. The wine contains the memory-erasing potion, and the wizard drinks it and forgets everything. He becomes a normal person, his spell on the forest is broken, and the gardener is freed from his captivity. Back at the palace, the princess and John get married, while Ron and his servant are sent to jail. The film ends happily. If you liked the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.